Do you feel like Egypt is part of Africa, or is more like of an Arabian like country, or more of like the Middle East?
I would say Egypt is Africa. I truly believe that. But a lot of people will tell me in my comments, Egypt is not Africa. Go to the real Africa. When are you going back to Africa, Eddie? So even Egyptians themselves will say, welcome to Africa, we're African. But for some reason, there's a narrative online that Egyptians see themselves as Arabic and not as Africans.
Do you face any discrimination living in Egypt as an African American?
Okay, so for me in Egypt, I didn't face too much discrimination, I would say. A lot of people said that because I was darker skinned, that maybe I would face trouble in Egypt, but I didn't face that. But then people also say like it's only if you're Sudanese or if you're a certain type of African that you may experience some type of
He's from, tell us your name and where you're from.
Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is No Limit Eddie, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I'm here right now in Uganda.
Okay, how long have you been in Uganda so far?
So this is my third time here, so if you add them all up, 6 months in Uganda.
6 months now. Okay, can you tell us about life in Egypt? How was life in Egypt?
Yeah, so I spent around 3.5 years living in Egypt as an African American, and one of my favorite countries, you know, to live in for sure is Egypt.
Okay, how has been your experience living in Egypt as an African American?
Yeah, so I think as far as cost of living, Egypt to me was one of the best places for cost of living because the US dollar stretches very far in Egypt. As far as people, some of the most friendly people, I would say, maybe second to Ugandans, are the Egyptians. Very nice people.
Okay.
The weather was nice, similar to how I'm used to it in LA. Sometimes it's really hot, sometimes it's really cold. And there's a lot to do in Egypt, I would say.
Wow. 3 years living in Egypt, have you been doing like business, studying, or what have you been doing in Egypt?
Pretty much just living life, you know.
Living life, okay.
Yeah, just living life in Egypt, making some vlogs, you know. I do have a business, but it's not based in Egypt. It's just based online. So I can do that anywhere in the world. That's why I'm here in UG. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, what do you do for a living now, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I could say I'm a lot of things. I could say I'm a YouTuber. I could say I'm a course creator, a coach, you know, but for the most part, I make content and then I sell products in that content. So,
okay. And how do you see Egypt compare back to Tanzania? You say you have been living in Tanzania.
Yeah. Okay, so Egypt to Tanzania is night and day difference. The people, of course, look a lot different in both those countries. The language is a bit different in both of those countries. Swahili is spoken in Tanzania, and then Arabic is spoken in Egypt. There is some crossover actually between Swahili and Arabic, but overall different languages. Food is quite different, very different, I would say. I love Tanzanian food more than I like Egyptian food. The people though are nicer in Egypt than they are in
the Egyptian
Tanzania.
people are good.
Yeah, very good. In Tanzania, I ran into a lot of scams. In Egypt, I was there for 3.5 years, never was scammed. So I'd say I like living in Egypt more than like living in Tanzania. But if I had to visit one or the other, maybe Tanzania. Yeah.
Okay, how is the cost of living in Egypt?
I think one of the best in the world. So I've been to Thailand, which a lot of people say is cheap, but Egypt is like significantly cheaper even in Thailand. I was having a fully furnished apartment for like $158 a month. My sister had a fully furnished apartment for like $100 a month.
$100 a month?
$100 a month. Yeah.
Wow.
So
a fully furnished apartment.
Fully furnished apartment.
Wow,
couch, refrigerator, oven, washing machine,
wow.
bed, closets, everything for that price. The power is very stable. So unlike Uganda where the power goes out once a day, maybe twice a day. In my 3.5 years there, like you can count on one hand how many times it goes out a year. So power is very stable, water is stable, even the utilities are very affordable.
What about food? Food is expensive too, or maybe like it's a little bit more expensive because we know, like if maybe like rent is expensive, rent is like cheap, maybe
out?
Like
no. So even food is cheap in Egypt. Even food is cheap in Egypt. Now you're not going to get very much variety depending on where you are. So you're going to be having a lot of falafel, a lot of rice, a lot of shawarma. You know, that is my one gripe with Egypt is the food is not as good as a lot of other places. So, but food is cheap, very cheap.
Food is cheap. Okay. How would you describe the Egyptian people?
Okay, I would say number one, hospitable. They're very hospitable people. Like You can be walking down the street, they'll invite you in their house for tea, for cookies. You know, the shop owners, when you're buying from them, they're gonna say, hey, sit down, my brother, sit down, drink tea, do this. Like, they're very welcoming people. They don't look at foreigners as a bad thing, I would say, in Egypt. So I like how they treated me in that country for sure. Outside of being hospitable, I would say helpful. They're very helpful people. If they see you having a problem, they'll stop what they're doing to come over there and try to help you fix or address whatever problem you're having. So I love the Egyptian people for sure.
Okay, living in Egypt for 3 years and as an African American, did you see opportunity for other, maybe should I say like foreigners, to come and invest in Egypt?
For sure, there's a lot of people going to Egypt and buying apartments and put them up on Airbnb. That's a big thing. I think Egypt has like 15 million tourists a year. So there is a big,
Okay.
So and compared to Uganda, it's like 2 million in Uganda every year. So there's a very big opportunity for like Airbnbs, tour companies. I have a friend who's African American who started a tour company there. Shout out to Montreal on a Mission. So there is opportunities in Egypt to invest and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, would you recommend Egypt to other foreigners who may like want to do business there?
Okay, so to do business, yes, because of how honest the Egyptian people have been to me. To live as well, I'd also recommend it. To visit, I think for African Americans, if they want the true African experience, maybe come to Uganda, maybe go to Tanzania, maybe go to another place, because
why do you commend East African countries?
Okay, so like when we think of Africa, we think of this kind of a skin color, not the Egyptian skin color. And so some people may feel disappointed if they go to Egypt and are not seeing a land full of black people, you see? And so I just know East Africa, because that's where I've been. They're very welcoming, they're very open arms for the most part. And so of course I recommend an East African country to visit first. And of course, like Uganda, they speak English. So it's easy to kind of, you know.
Do you feel like Egypt is part of Africa, or is more like of an Arabian like country, or more of like the Middle East?
I would say Egypt is Africa. I truly believe that. But a lot of people will tell me in my comments, Egypt is not Africa. Go to the real Africa. When are you going back to Africa, Eddie? So even Egyptians themselves will say, welcome to Africa, we're African. But for some reason, there's a narrative online that Egyptians see themselves as Arabic and not as Africans. But the people that I interacted with call themselves Africans in Egypt. So,
and do you find it more interesting in Egypt as like living there as an African American?
Interesting in what way? Like
in just living, like the people surrounding you, like the area you're living.
Yeah, I feel like Egypt is an interesting place. It's different. Egypt is a lot different than what I thought it would be. Honestly, like it's very developed. A lot of cities. They have beaches. Beach towns, they have mountain regions, like it's snowed there. I don't know, it snowed in Egypt. It's very different than what the media portrays, you know. You would think it's just the pyramids and sand and mummies, but there's a lot more to Egypt than just that. So
is Egypt more secured in case of like security around?
You know what, I've never been to a country except for South Africa where I feel unsafe. So I feel safe in Uganda, I feel safe in Tanzania, I feel safe in Thailand. There's nowhere I've gone where I feel like, oh, this is dangerous, besides South Africa. It's a little bit sketchy down that side, but yeah, Egypt is safe.
It's safe. Okay. I mean, you will recommend it to other people who want to maybe like live there?
I definitely. Like one of the best countries in my opinion to live in, because of the cost of living, because of the visa situation. You can live there for 12 months without having an issue. Like here in Uganda, I can only be here for 3 months, and then I have to extend my visa another 2 months, another 2 months. So it's more of a hassle, I would say, coming this side for living. Of course, the people are very friendly, like I said, and the stability is, to me, better in Egypt than a lot of other countries. So you're going to get stable water, stable power, stable internet. The roads are paved for the most part. You know, they have a lot of transportation methods to get from place to place. So Egypt is a very great place for Americans to live.
Okay, what is the challenges you face in the 3 years we have been living in Egypt? Some of the challenges you face here.
Yeah, so I say there's a couple of challenges I face in Egypt. Number one, I would say, is the food.
Food?
Yes. It's a desert country, so they don't have that much of an abundance of fruits and vegetables and things like that as it is here in like Uganda, right? I would also say the weather.
The weather?
When it gets cold, it gets cold. No, the hot is not bad actually.
It's cold.
Cold.
Oh.
Yeah. Like during the winter months, like and windy. So you'll have sandstorms. You'll go outside and everything is orange because the sky is filled with sand. You know, so the weather during the winter season is not ideal for me. So I say that. And any other challenges I came across in Egypt, there is a language barrier. There is a language barrier depending on which part of the country you live in. There may be more people who speak Arabic, and you gotta learn how to like maneuver if you don't speak that language.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you overcome the challenge of food? Like, how did you get like the food to eat there?
Man, there
is no fast food.
Yeah, like there's fast food. Man, I don't even know how to describe my problem with the food in Egypt. It's just like it's not enough variety. That's the problem. And so I'm a vegetarian also, so that makes things a little bit more challenging as well. But I just had to figure it out. And I would travel a lot. I would leave the country of Egypt to go eat different foods. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what I did.
Okay. Do you see yourself going back again to Egypt in the years coming?
No, I feel like I've done too much in Egypt. I've been there for 3.5 years. It's time to give other parts of the world more shine. So if anything, I'll be in Uganda. I'll be back in South Africa. I will be, hopefully y'all willing, in Kenya here very soon, but I plan on maybe doing more sub-Saharan Africa now for this time.
Okay. And the 6 months you have been living in Uganda, how do you see Uganda?
Uganda, I would say Uganda is like my third home. So of course you got America, which is where I'm from, then you got Egypt, and then Uganda is like my third home, I would say. But I plan on basically living full-time in Uganda and then making this my base and traveling from here. So turn this into Egypt. Basically my plan.
Okay. Maybe for those people who want to watch a video, maybe you're talking about Uganda, maybe we can do a video about Uganda. You share with us your experience living in the part of Africa. Is it fine?
Yeah, we'll do some videos. Yeah, we'll do some videos around Uganda, man. I love this country. The women are beautiful. The people are friendly. The food is good. No complaints around Uganda except the infrastructure. Yeah, the roads are a little sketchy.
Maybe down.
You know, the power is going out a lot. The water has been stable this time around, so that's a blessing. But yeah, Uganda has its challenges, but the pros outweigh it for sure. Maybe you can give yourself a shout out on how people can find you. Okay, so if you guys want to find me, man, check out my YouTube channel, No Limit Eddie, No Limit EDDIE. I've been doing YouTube for like 4 years while doing the traveling around stuff. So a lot of videos from a lot of countries. You guys will learn something or two from my channel.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this part of the video. We really appreciate for the support and love you really show us. Kindly don't forget to check our brother here. I'm going to leave his YouTube link in the YouTube description so you can check him out. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one.
Peace.